I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 9th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Provide your calves with the BRD control they deserve. One cost-effective dose of Zactran. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. Holiday specials on Monday, and I apologize for not having those on yesterday's visit, but I did take the weekend off there and found out that there was something to do on Labor Day besides go to New Mexico, maybe go to Old Mexico. But anyways, the holiday specials that they had on Monday, and most of your big high volume Monday sales were open, even the ones that sometimes do have a sale on the holiday Monday, but with most of those completely closed, all your attention was focused on your sales that had the big Monday Labor Day holiday specials, namely the two big ones. Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming, having 8,200 head, and Russell Livestock Market, Russell, Iowa, over 5,000 head. I mean, those are big, and when they get premium prices like what they got, and they had a premium offering, especially in Torrington, where they had just waves of green grass yearlings, and most of our green grass yearlings are gone. So to be able to see some of those and droves and big long strings of them, a lot of them home ranch raised right there, I mean, it drew a lot of attention to those cattle. Well, they brought such a high price. And it wasn't I say premium, it wasn't necessarily a premium price. It was just what they were worth. The value of those cattle was so high. Well, when you had that kind of volume sell at those kind of prices, and then Russell right behind them, it took your index for a ride, guys. Your real-time index went up almost $2 from the end of last week till we got into the meat of the middle part of this week. And it was because of those two big specials. We're still waiting on your CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index to come about, but the latest available on that is lagging behind, but it's going to take it on a roll too. But those are 7-day moving averages of all the feeder cattle reported up to the middle 12 states there, weighing from 7 to 899 pounds. But you get that many of them selling at a higher price than what the bulk are bringing, it will raise it. And we saw the board kind of take after that and try to raise up and get closer to it. So we know people are watching that real-time index because they're paying attention to that. But your feeder cattle jumped up big. Your fat cattle were big up on your futures market on Monday. They thought maybe, or on Tuesday, they thought maybe last week we'd overdone it a little bit, taking it down, but now we're back to about where we started the early part of last week. But the weather has changed, and that could have something to do with some of these positive attitudes too. This weather, I mean, has just snapped. We went from, and the guys out in California fighting those fires, God help them, they're still having a hard time with these, really hot, just desperately hot temperatures, and no relief from the crispy conditions that are just causing these fires to get worse. They can't hold them back, and the smoke is terrible, and man, you just fret for those people. But I tell you what, this front that come across your mountain ranges there and then come down, whoa, did it change things. I mean, we went from 96 one day to 42 or 3, if not the next day, the next. But here in the Texas Panhandle, it's cold. It's cold on Tuesday night. It was 39 degrees, spitting cold rain and the wind howling. I tell you what, it's cold. Get up in the higher elevations, they had quite a bit of measurable snow in some places. You know, winter storm warnings up near Denver, and just really changing things. And that is likely going to cause people's attitudes to change and think more towards fall as we go forward here. But probably not going to be an Indian summer. It doesn't look like this year. They are supposed to announce here on Monday sometime but I guess word leaked out, or if you guys are like me, you saw several reports of it. The National Finals Rodeo is going to take place. It's not going to take place in Las Vegas because they won't let crowds get together. They're going to move it for this year, and it looks like it's going to come to Texas. Wow, what a fitting place to have the National Finals Rodeo. Going to be having it in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area in the new stadium there where the Texas Rangers play, which has a retractable roof, and that'll be very comfortable. It holds over twice as many as the Thomas and Mack Arena, and so far up to now, they can have 50% people come in and watch the event, so it'll be about the same difference. But looking forward to that, and glad to see them do the things that they needed to do. That's the unofficial meeting of cattlemen right there. I guarantee a higher percentage of America's cattlemen go to the National Finals Rodeo at least one day during the 10-day affair than go to all the trade association conventions put together. But that's a good place for people to congregate that are in the cattle business, love the Western way of life, and I'm glad that they're going to have it, even though the total money winnings that the competitors have put together are way down because there's been so many rodeos canceled. But I tell you what, your rodeo people, your cattle people, if they're not one and the same, they think the same, and they support one another, and we're sure glad to see the national finals being held this year and going to be in Texas, which is great. Let's go ahead and talk about the board to start the week on Tuesday after the Monday holiday. October live cattle futures up $1.32, 105.77, which would be about $2.50 higher than what your weighted average was last week on your negotiated cash trade 5-area feeding region. December live cattle futures up 165 at 110.12. So that, that's starting to sound a little better. And then you go on out from there on your out fronts on live cattle, are up 75 cents to up $1.52. So great day on your live cattle futures. Feeder cattle are up big too. September feeders are spot month right here that we're getting well into, up $1.30 at 138.95, but well short of your real-time index. I told you after benefiting from those holiday specials, and it's probably going to have to run, and eventually they'll get the CME cash feeder cattle index out, and we'll kind of see where that's going to land, but it's going to take a sharp increase too. October feeder cattle up $1.35, 139.85, and you go out front on your feeder cattle contracts up 60 cents to up $1.20. Your weighted average on last week's 5-area cash fed cattle trade there, 68,100 head is all. That's the lightest we've seen for quite a while here. 68,100 head is all that we saw in negotiated cash trade out of your 5-area feeding region. That compares to 83,200 head. But we'd been running through the worst of the COVID and the fears of the USDA investigation, which evidently the packers have no concern of anymore. But they were selling or purchasing, and your cattle feeders were selling well over 100,000 head negotiated cash, and down big this past week, but 83,200 head the previous week, and the same week a year ago when we were still trying to recover from the fire at the Holcomb plant there, 71,400 head. But last week, your live steers and heifers ranged in price from 101 to 105, mostly 102 to 104, and that was $1 to $3 lower. Your weighted average on live steers was 103.12, and that was almost $2 lower than the previous week, $1.97 lower. Your dressed steers and heifers ranged in price from 162 to 164, very narrow range. That's all of them, guys. Just a $2 price spread there. Your weighted average on dressed steers, 163.07. It was $3 to $5 lower, but your weighted average price was $3.46 lower on dressed steers, and that's quite a hunk there. Nationwide, they sold 81,000 head negotiated cash. So 81,000 head cash trade last week nationwide. over 246,000 formulated trade nationwide. You kind of see what our problem is. But the worst thing about that, just selling 81,000 head on cash basis last week nationwide, is 35,700 of them, or about 44% of them, were for your 15 to 30 day delivery. You can blame part of that on this week having the holiday and being kind of a shortened week, but your packers use those holidays to try to dodge and bob and weave to take advantage of the market, and they did this time, and also setting this market up. Going in, we've had kind of a down market here the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the packers are expecting that to continue. But 44% of your cash sales last week for 15 to 30 day delivery. So they're hoping to set this market up for a further fall here. They're getting more cattle bought out front where they won't be as aggressive, and then they'll try to get your cattle feeders in a position where they're desperate and needing to sell cattle. Oh, and then the packers hoping that the futures market goes down, and hoping to take several dollars away from our cash market here from now, because we are expecting your cash fat cattle prices on live and on the board to kind of recover when we get deep into fall and we start running into those spots where we had light placements, if you remember, during the very worst in the start of the COVID. But that's kind of a rundown of your sales. Only 20,200 head in the negotiated grid, which that's a lot of your folks with NCBA and the like are thinking that that's going to be our savior. They won't support minimum negotiated cash trade, which Chuck Grassley and a number of other groups and most of your grassroots supporters, your folks that are out there, your independent cattle feeders, what they're desperately wanting, minimum negotiated cash trade to save this industry. And then your biggest trade association is going after the negotiated grid, which has always been there and never been a big way to sell cattle. But they're banking on that, and it has not been supported at all. And NCBA is supposedly kind of tracking things to see what our trade is like. Well, how'd you like the trade last week? 68,100 head in your 5-area feeding region. Hasn't been very many years ago when I used to collect those sales. There was 100,000 head in Texas, 100,000 head in Kansas, 100,000 head in Nebraska, and then Colorado and Iowa would make up another 100,000 head, and there'd be over 500,000 cash sales every week. And that's when we had a little bit of leverage on the market. Not saying we'll ever get that back, but if you put in the minimum negotiated cash trade, allow it to happen. Just quit fighting it. Allow it to happen and see what happens to this industry. You'll see it flourish. But just this too much manipulation here from the packers, not only on the trade, but on the policy also. But what trade did we have so far this week? Monday, nothing happened. Tuesday, they had a load of cattle in Iowa, confirmed sales at 161. That'd be another couple bucks lower dress. But your cattle sellers are going to really resist things with the board being up big on the first day of the traded week. They're really going to resist probably even steady cash bids. I hope they don't take any of those cash bids steady, at least not for a day or two, and put their heels in and maybe try a little bit for a change. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets. I've been talking about that index this whole visit here. Your real-time index on markets, including your markets over the weekend and on the holiday Monday, which it's real-time, and it is, like I say, it is always up to date and current. And your real-time index at the end of Tuesday's trade, even including Tuesday's trade, but also having all those Monday sales in there at 140.22. That's based on an 800-pound steer. That was up $1.88 from the end of last week. So Big gains there, even though that's a 7-day moving average. You dump that many high cattle in there from that Monday special, and it will crank it up, and we'll see that happen as whenever CME comes out with their cash feeder cattle index. We'll see how much impact it's had, but it seems like we always have to wait for a big unveiling. We can't just see up-to-date real-time information. How about Torrington livestock markets on that Monday special? 8,200 head. Your 7-weight steers in Torrington, as I looked on Cattle Market Central, your 7-weight steers had an average of almost 149, and those would be in your index. All of your 7-weight steers averaged almost 149. Your 8-weight steers averaged over 146 and a half. And we were sitting around there around 138, 139 on your index levels. Yes, it's going to take them up. How about some individual quotes out of Torrington livestock markets? How about 158 head of 811-pound feeder steers there? Grass yearling steers, 158 and a quarter. 58 and a quarter, guys. Unbelievable. Then didn't have any programs per se on there. Just good, honest cattle, good doing kind of cattle, green grass cattle, when a time that we're running out of them. How about lightweight steer calves? 80 head in Torrington, weighed 437 at 189.50. These are big prices, guys, even though we feel like we're in a depressed market. Russell Livestock, Russell, Iowa, 5,000 head there. Look at your market report, your automated market report. You can watch, view, and bid that sale on dvauction.com every time they have a sale there. But and it's usually on a Monday. But Russell's market report there on DV Auction at Cattle Market Central. Look at your best tested weights there. 537 head of 6-weight steers, average 652, with a weighted average price on all your 6-weight steers of 153.69. 612 head of your 7-weight steers in Russell, average 748, with a weighted average price of 147.12. Those go in your index, guys. How about 972 head of 8-weight steers in Russell, averaging 832 at 141.80. Now that's how come your index levels are taking such a spike right there. How about some of your Tuesday sales? Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri, lighter run for them there following the holiday, 2,600 head, mostly $2 to $3 lower, and they were one of the few markets that were actually higher last week while everybody else was lower, but they did see a dip this week. How about some individual quotes from Tuesday here, post-holiday? Imperial Auction Market, Imperial, Nebraska, some lightweight steers selling really high, 94 head, 447-pound steers, 191. Imperial, Nebraska. That's the highest quote that I saw anywhere. Denny Rezac Livestock Commission, St. Mary's, Kansas, 84 head, 924-pound steers, $142. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.